I wanted to show you guys a Milky that has a few lookalikes and give you some key identifying features that will help you not make any mistakes. Now, I came out here with Lactarius corrugatus and left it because it was late last night and I didn't have Dawn with me to film it, and we came back this afternoon, well, the next day in the afternoon, and something ate them both, and I mean really ate them both, just small remnants. So I don't get to show both mushrooms in the same video, which is kind of a bummer. I mean, next to one another in my hand, I'll have to add them to this video. But okay, one of the key identifying features of this mushroom, when you see a fresh one on the ground, is it resembles an apricot. It has an apricot color, which is where it gets its common name, the Apricot Milkcap. Now with milkcap mushrooms, some of them will exude a lot of latex, whereas others won't. And the older that a milkcap gets, the less latex it's going to exude. This mushroom has been harvested for about 2 hours, and you can see that is a lot of latex. But you can also see the brown staining from the mushroom having been handled. Normally the gills would be white with an apricot stem that gets lighter as it goes up to the apex with white to cream colored gills and apricot colored top. So the key identifying feature is it has a lot of latex. It has those colors, and as you put your nose right where the stem and the cap meet and you take a whiff, it'll distinctly smell like fish. Not horrible, and it certainly doesn't taste like fish, but you can certainly smell it. And if you do pick one of these and you think it's it and you can't smell fish, give it about 5 minutes, especially after you've struck the gills to see if it turns brown, and give it another whiff. The longer it's been cut, the more it smells like fish. It isn't going to stink up your kitchen when you cook it, and it certainly doesn't taste like fish. With milk caps, cook them slow, on low, otherwise they can have kind of a gritty texture. But the extraordinary amount of latex that comes out of these is one of the ID features, and the other is the staining of brown and, of course, the smell of fish. Pick this one right here and see just how it looks fresh and unstained, and you can see it's leaking all over me. Those beautiful white gills. See the apricot colored stem lightening up as it gets to the apex, the cream colored gills, and how very much the top of that resembles an apricot. Let's go see another Milky. One more milkcap that resembles the apricot but is edible is the Hydrographis Milkcap. And it's not frequent in my particular area, but it is a frequent mushroom. See how it has the apricot color and a lighter stem? The separating difference between the apricot Milky and the Hydrographis Milkcap is in the spacing of the gills. You can see the gills here on the Apricot Milkcap is much more crowded than on the Hydrographis Milkcap. Both of them will exude quite a bit of latex. And the other feature is this one doesn't smell like fish. Now, when you've been cutting apricot milkies all day and you're in a woods that happens to have the Hydrographis Milkcap, which can get relatively large, your fingers from the latex will end up smelling like fish. So when you go to smell a mushroom like this, you might be smelling your fingertips. But the Hydrographis Milkcap resembles the Apricot Milkcap, and luckily they're both edible. The gills, of course, are spaced further apart on the Hydrographis Milky than they are on the Apricot Milky. That's the distinguishing difference between the two, and they're both edible, and they're both pretty good. Let's look at another Milky. I want to introduce you guys to the Corrugated Milkcap. Now this can be really orangish red. What I'm wiping off the top of this cap is velvety. It's one of the key features, it's velvety. It has cream to white gills. Of course, you see the latex is creeping on my fingers there. And this mushroom also will have quite a bit of latex. And you taste the latex and see if it burns your tongue or makes your tongue feel dry. And if not, and it has a mildly sweet taste, you probably have the Corrugated Milky, which is an edible mushroom. I wanted to show you another example right here. This is a button. You can see this almost peachy cream colored gills right here at the apex. It's darker, and the top, of course, is a kind of a burnt red and very, very velvety to the touch. Corrugated Milkcap. A pretty cool mushroom to show everyone. The gills on this are so crowded it looks smooth. You have to look really close to see the gills. It's got a white stem with very crowded gills, and it starts out with an enrolled margin, and then it'll get a depression in its center, and then it'll vase out and hold water. And again, the gills are so crowded it looks smooth, and you see that latex seeping out here. And this is past its prime. This is a very interesting and common mushroom. I've had a lot of people say they have a hard time finding it, but I see it in almost every woods that I forage in. But this latex here gives it away. This is a lactifluous. I think formerly it was Lactarius pepperatus. Now it is lactifluous pepperatus. At least I think now it is. But the interesting part about this mushroom with the very crowded gills is its peppery taste. If you were to take a small fleck of that, put it on the tip of your tongue, and chew it up, it's delicious. It's very, very, very spicy. The tip of your tongue is burning a little bit. This is not considered an edible mushroom, but it isn't considered toxic. And the only reason that it isn't edible is because it's just too peppery to eat. However, it could be ground and used as a black pepper substitute. Very neat mushroom. Super crowded gills, exuding a white latex. In the beginning button stages, it'll have an enrolled margin, and then it'll slowly vase shape as it ages. The peppery milkcap. This is one of the easiest milkcap mushrooms to identify. It's a little late in the year for these, so I'm sure they're buggy. They're kind of powdery on top. They're actually pretty difficult to spot, even though they're blue. But this is the Lactarius indigo group. Relatively easy to recognize. It looks kind of a chalky white on top. Sometimes it could be really blue. One thing about this group of mushrooms is the stem can become hollow and pithy. But you see this beautiful blue latex. Stains your fingers. Basically, it's a blue mushroom exuding blue latex. It's an edible milkcap and is listed in many books as choice. I eat this mushroom when I find it. You need to cook it slow and low like most other milkies, otherwise it can taste grainy. But with age, this stalk can be pithy and hollow. It has a powdery blue color usually. Sometimes it can be just as bright and beautiful blue as that latex you see coming out of the stipe. It's shocking how hard it is to spot. But the indigo milky is probably the easiest milkcap mushroom to identify. Now I'm going to go beyond probably and say definitely the easiest milkcap mushroom to identify. I wouldn't list it as choice, even though the books do. But I've eaten a lot of different mushrooms, and I prefer the Apricot Milkcap above all others that I've tasted so far. Beautiful mushroom.